Hey there, everyone. Welcome back. I'm Zach, and I'm continuing on this week of kind of catching up on Pentatonix stuff. I have several PT experience videos to react to. Somehow I ended up way farther behind than anticipated on that. But, I mean, I'm here, and ultimately, my first priority was I wanted to come back. I wanted to talk to you about my concert experience in Atlantic City. At this point, it was a couple days ago. Sunday night in Atlantic City, in fact, for the World Tour 2019. Now, I noticed that they didn't post a set list on Twitter of our show. I don't know why that is. And there are a couple things I noticed aren't on here, but I don't know if I'll forget some things, but I'm going to generally go by the other most recent set list they posted on Twitter as my kind of guideline to go through. Because it's generally the same, though. The big takeaway for this experience for me is that it was the first time having any of my family there. In fact, not only did I have family there, but I had my brother, my mother, and my sister all at once. And I'm happy to say what started as an obligation, what I got them to do as an obligation, I was literally like, you want to go to see Pentatonix for my birthday? Even though my birthday is 2 months from now, August. I was just like, close enough. That'll be an excuse to get them to go. And they probably won't want to go after that. But at least it'll be an experience. But what started as an obligation for them has turned into an actual interest in seeing them again live, which is crazy. That tells you how much they enjoyed this concert, which it exceeded my expectations and how much they enjoyed it. Because, I know they're amazing live. And like I said in previous videos recently, I don't have any doubt that they're amazing live. I didn't have any doubt it would be a great show, but some people just don't appreciate certain things as much as others, especially in this music sphere of like a cappella and certain obscure artists in our sphere, in our community. Some people just don't appreciate them as much, even if they're like clearly talented. But I'm happy to say it wasn't the case here. I will go into some specific things. This is different for me because I have someone else's perspective here, but they're not here to share it. So I'm going to detail. We had like a little discussion after the concert and on the way home in the car, talking about each of the songs. I went down the set list with them. So now I'll have thoughts to give to you from 3 other people that are not nearly as experienced with Pentatonix as I am, in addition to my regular thoughts. Now, if you're new to my channel, I do these every concert I go to, which at this point, I've seen, I forget what the number was, like 4, 5, 6 concerts at this point. I had the number before, but yeah, so it's several times. Not nearly as many as some people in this community, but by far more than the average person would. So, like I said, I'll give my thoughts along the way. Shoot, I'm kind of all over the place, aren't I? Sorry. My point was, if you're new to this channel, I do videos on every concert experience and thing like this that I go to, and usually I work through every step of the way, the experience there. And this time around, there's not so much because there was no VIP. I've fulfilled all my VIP dreams for a while now, so I'll probably be taking quite a break from them so I don't overindulge, because it already cost me a pretty penny just to get some of these tickets. And yeah, so no VIP to go over, it'll just be the concert. Yeah, so generally speaking, the seats weren't great. Like, our positioning in the seats turned out to be better than I thought. Like, we were able to see the stage very well. We were pretty far back, but we didn't mind because we could see everything, and it was cool. But seating wise, like literally sitting in the chairs, they're not very comfortable. They didn't like that you had to sit perfectly upright, and there also wasn't not much foot space, and not much aisle space. It was very crammed, and you were shoulder to shoulder with the person next to you, which is not preferable, of course, but it was doable. That's just one thing I would have liked to see better, because there was a lot of empty space I noticed down in the bottom area of this. It was the Hard Rock Mark Edis Arena, and there's a lot of open space down in the bottom, But yeah, they really crammed the seats together up top, and I didn't like that. But overall, we were fine with where we were sitting. The show started off with Citizen Queen, and they were good. They were visibly, like, especially when you go on to Rachel Platt and Pentatonix, you could tell how much more experience they had in comparison to Citizen Queen, because Citizen Queen didn't quite have it all down. They weren't like perfectly on point with the choreography, and even like the timing on some things wasn't perfect. Some of the audio levels could have been better, or maybe it's just their voices in general don't work well. I did think in particular Cora really came through very nicely, and her one little singing part too was really cool. One of my favorite parts from them. And Katie's bass was really strong as well, and Kayla was amazing live. Those were like standouts for me. I love them all, but those three in particular really shined in this particular set and this venue. They were all beautiful though, and right after their set, they go out into the lobby for a little meet and greet thing, and I got a quick picture with them. It was literally in and out picture. I think maybe Nina recognized me. I'm not sure, because I do post reactions and share them with them, so I'm sure they've seen some of them, but it's hard to tell. Because she did say like thank you for watching all of our videos, which she didn't say that to everyone, so, and that seemed like a weird thing to assume, so I'm guessing that's what she meant. And I always have like regrets with these things. That's why I was kind of happy I didn't have to do meet and greet VIP with Pentatonix, because it's kind of a stressful thing, even though I really enjoy it, because you're like, oh, I got to make the most of this time, I don't know what I want to do, and it felt rushed before the Pentatonix one. And this one was very much the same. Like, the person taking their pictures, I think it was Alec or something, he takes your phone and takes them real quick. He was doing super quick, like super rushing. I mean, there was a ton of people, it makes sense, but he was like, I wasn't even ready in the picture. Like, you can see in the first picture he took of him, he takes 2 pictures. I wasn't even like in position yet. He was already taking it. All right, go. And then it was in and out. I wish, it's one of my requests. I wish I would have gotten like hugs at least, or been able to say hi to all of them, because it was kind of rushed, but people that stopped them to ask for autographs and stuff, they still got it. So I could have stopped them and got more time from them. But, I'm not that kind of personality in general. Like, if I'm getting rushed along, I'm not one to intrude usually, but now I just wish that I get to meet them again in some capacity, because there really wasn't much meeting. It was just a picture. So, I mean, that's cool to have, but still, it's not much value if you don't get to actually connect with them in some way. But it was cool that they even did that. Cora, unfortunately, wasn't there for the picture. It makes sense, though, because she was still trying to recuperate from being sick earlier. And they had skipped the previous show before ours, so I was kind of worried that they would end up skipping ours if Cora wasn't better, but at least she was better enough to do the show and really killed it. So after that was Rachel Platten. As a result of waiting in this line, even though it was pretty early in the line, it took a long time to get through the first people, which is probably why they started rushing, or they didn't, but the guy who was taking the pictures started rushing a lot. It's because it was taking really long in the beginning. But yeah, I did miss the first couple songs from Rachel Platten, but when I got in there, man, she was amazing. She was really, really good. Like, she has one of those voices that's kind of like a Kelly Clarkson, Carrie Underwood powerhouse voice, in that it's like there's no signs of it breaking, and like you can tell there's so much power in there. And even when she's casually singing, she's going around hugging people in the audience. She was still killing it, spot on vocals. I wasn't a huge fan of some of the songs she did, and I wasn't sure of all of them. I thought she did a couple covers in there. I'm not sure if they were all hers or not. But all things considered, she was really good, and her energy is the most noticeable thing about her. She has just a great, fun personality. You could even see it in the snippets of PT Experience videos I'd seen before going out there. That, wow, she's like just a shining ball of light and energy. It's great. And she's having the time of her life out there. That's what I always love to see. Like, she was talking about how she's just grateful to be up there, and she clearly was. That's awesome. Those are the kinds of people I love to see up there. It's great. It's great. It's refreshing to see. Pentatonix has those people around them, and it shows. So then after Rachel Platten, which my mom and sister really enjoyed, think my brother did too. I didn't get too much of his opinion on that specifically, but yeah, I assume they all enjoyed them a lot. As far as Citizen Queen, I didn't talk about their opinions on them, but they all kind of seemed, they thought they were good, but not great. Like, and even someone who loves Citizen Queen, I admitted to them, I was like, yeah, it's noticeable that they're a new group because not everything was perfectly polished, and especially in comparison to the other two ones that followed them, you could tell the difference in experience. But I stressed to them that that's also part of it, is they were new and everything, so give them a chance. But my sister got a picture with them and everything, so she clearly enjoyed them, and they said generally positive things, but they didn't like them as much as the others. Rachel Platten, they did really like. So going into Pentatonix, first I want to talk to you about each of my family members, how much experience they have with them. My mom and my brother are kind of like casual fans, only because I play the music around them a lot, and also when I did this series called the Pentatonix Tournament, they watched a lot, all the videos involved in that, which was quite a bit of them. The large majority of their videos up until 2017 at least were contained in that, so they had a good general knowledge of Pentatonix, but never had seen them live. And my sister, believe it or not, had never seen a Pentatonix video before, had never heard anything from Pentatonix, and this is mostly because we don't live together anymore. If we did, she would be hearing a lot more of it, obviously, and I probably would have shown it to her by now. But then when I got closer to the concert, I was like, I could show her something, or I could just leave it fresh, and that would be an interesting reaction to get. Someone who's never heard or seen the band before, hearing it for the first time live. And she came out of it really liking them and wanting to see another concert, which I think is a testament to Pentatonix and their talent, and not something I was really expecting. Honestly, I was expecting after that to be like, yeah, I enjoyed it, and that's kind of what I've expected for all of them, is like they enjoyed it and they put up with it because I really enjoy them, but not really have super passionate opinions on anything. But no, they had a lot to say in general, which is why I'll be able to break down a bit. See, I'll be able to break down a bit their thoughts on each of the songs. See, I went into this not wanting it to be very long. I was going to be like, I'm going pretty quick. I'm going to do it as quick as possible, because my videos tend to be super long in this, but it's gearing up to be a long one again. We're going to try to speed it up. Oh, I love the intros with Pentatonix. I loved this before, where they're like, dun 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 dun. The flashing lights, dun 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 dun, and then their silhouettes. I love when they hype themselves up, because I'm like, yeah, you deserve it, and this will be great for them to see, because they can get hyped up for it as well. My family, I mean. And they started with Daft Punk, which I was surprised, like, my family didn't enjoy it as much. Like, when I was going over in the recap, they didn't really have much of an opinion on it. Like, it wasn't very memorable to them, which is ironic, considering it's one of their most iconic songs. Now, I'm giving you their pure, unfiltered opinions, as well as mine, so bear with me. There's some hot takes in here, really. But I think it's an interesting perspective to have as people who are casual Pentatonix fans and someone who'd never seen Pentatonix before. Some of the takes they had on these songs. It's interesting. Some I agree with, some I'll talk about it. Daft Punk, I thought was good. Maybe not the best performance I'd seen them do of it, because they've done it every concert. But still, it's iconic. I think it was worth being in there. Sing is next. And this is one that my brother and my mom, this was one of their favorites before having heard it live. From watching it for the tournament, they really enjoyed that one. So, an early favorite, but when they heard it live, they weren't as into it. They didn't think it translated quite as well as some of the others, which I actually do agree. I think Sing's a great high energy one to start off with, but it's one of the ones that I think are noticeably different from the recorded version to live, because they're moving around and they're a bit out of energy, and you can tell it's not like their full voice isn't into it in those songs. And my family tended to agree that the ballad style, just broken down, belting stuff out, mostly stationary songs, or some of their best work. Like they translate the best to live performances because it's like isolated vocals, not too much going on. They don't have to do too much movement, and it's pure great vocals. So we'll get into more of that later. But Sing, it was still good. It was still enjoyable for sure. I will say in general in this concert, I felt like one of the things that were noticeably, as someone who's seen several of their concerts at this point, one of the things I noticed was not as on point as it was in some other ones, is the choreography. It felt really stiff in some of these songs. I was surprised. It was like, especially in the beginning with songs like Sing, where it's like they were moving around, but not as high energy as they are usually, or in my experience with them. And then some choreography was not as tight as it was in other concerts. Didn't have as much going on, which isn't a huge deal to me. It just felt like sometimes they were a little stiff, and it was kind of weird. I was like, what's going on here? Maybe it's just not as polished at this point. I don't know. Let me know if you noticed that at all. I don't know. After this, you had High Hopes. It just lists High Hopes there. I think Sing transitioned right into High Hopes, and it was like a bit of a mashup there. And I think there was another song with High Hopes, which I didn't like as much. But High Hopes I thought was good. I thought it worked pretty well. But, I mean, it wasn't the best to mix with Sing, but it still worked well. Havana. I really enjoyed Havana, especially the presentation with the red lighting and stuff. And that's another thing I really loved with this concert was the presentation in general, outside of the choreography. Like lights and everything was really nice. For some reason, though, my family didn't really like that one as much. And that's like a song, at least my brother and my mom, I distinctly remember saying that wasn't as good. Yeah, it's a bit surprising since it's one that they could recognize as just a popular song in general. But they just didn't like it as much, and that's fine. Can't Sleep Love was enjoyable. They didn't have too much of an opinion on that one. And that's kind of me with the song in general, actually, is I'm not huge on the song. I'm not against it. It's kind of an indifferent song for me. Like, I know it's monumental for Pentatonix as their first original single. It has a nice sound to it. It's always a fun jam, but not necessarily one I'm pumped to hear live. Now, the throwback medley. This was cool to see. A lot of the old favorites, like I was mentioning before this concert. Rather Be was one I've wanted for a long time, and I was excited just that there was even going to be a snippet in here. It was cool. They did a callback to the sing-off and stuff. But, and like some of my family said, I don't think it translated as well as if they could have just done a medley flowing all together. The breaking it up kind of, I don't know, it kind of lessened the effectiveness of it, because they broke it up in little snippets. It was like a couple second versions of each little thing. They talk a bit about it. Okay, now then we moved on to this, and it was kind of a trip down memory lane in honor of like 9 years as Pentatonix. I get it, but not as effective as it could have been. Next, we had their all new original. First time me ever hearing it. I avoided concert footage, hearing anything concert footage, so this is completely fresh for me as well. And I was actually impressed. I wasn't blown away in the live version of it, but I was really impressed with the arrangement, and I definitely, like 100%, can just envision. I can imagine hearing the studio version right now, and I think it really will translate well. Especially like Mitch's parts. Again, I've only heard it once live now, so I don't even remember it exactly. This is just my impressions that I remember. I remember Mitch's part being really cool, some really unique style and tone to the song, and I like the background. It was fun. And I'm excited to hear the studio version and the rest of their original stuff in their next album. Really cool and excited to hear that. I'll be interested to see if they'll have a music video for that too. Either way, I thought it was a great, solid arrangement. Come Along was a really good one. I thought this translated really well. They had a nice background for them as well. And this is one I kind of expected my family to not like as much, but they actually really did. They really liked the visuals, and they thought it was a nice, really translated well live as well. Aha was there, and I thought it was great. I thought Mitch was incredible. A couple things. I thought Scott was incredible throughout this whole concert. I thought Mitch was really incredible. Kirsten was on her game. Like, all of her leads and solos were really on point. Like, not even a sign of cracking. Like, vocally perfect. And Kevin and Matt brought so much energy and were really, really good as well. But for some reason, I thought for sure going into this concert, I was like, they're going to love Mitch at the end of this. They're going to be obsessed with Mitch because he gets a lot of moments in these songs and really gets to stand out. But when I brought up Aha, and I was like, this is the one where he gets, the high notes guy, Mitch. He had some really standout moments in this. So what did you think of it? And they were like, eh. They didn't really care all that much. And I was like, what about all in general? There were a lot of great moments in this concert where he really stood out. What did you think of that? Nothing? And they weren't really that interested. And I'm like, okay, wow. No Mitch love here. And like a couple of them, they had the stance of, he's really talented, but it's just not, I don't know. They didn't really value it as much, I guess. Fair enough. Sound of Silence, I thought was incredible live, and this is one I was really looking forward to for the longest time, ever since the song came out. I was like, this one's definitely going to be there. It's the new Hallelujah, almost. So it was 100% going to be there. It was the one song I knew would be on the set list. And of course, it translated perfectly, and my family loved it as well. This got to be one of my favorites, if not my favorite, of the whole concert. But there were a lot of great ones. Then there was a Kevin cello boxing moment, which I had not heard myself, this new one. I kind of personally prefer the older, the previous cello boxing moment he had in the last concert. Though I did like the, they incorporated the looping, which he's been doing in his own videos recently. So that was cool. My family was really impressed with him. And, they're really impressed with Kevin in general. Really loved him. Yeah, they were really impressed by that, which I was glad to see. I was excited to hear that this cello boxing moment of some regard would be in this concert, because I knew that would be something cool to showcase Kevin's talent. And I love when Scott talks Kevin up. That's great, because he deserves it. Then we had Shallow, which is one my brother really likes. He really likes the original song and everything. And this one was great live. They all enjoyed that. I really, really loved this one live as well. It was one of the most impactful covers for me in recent memory. If you go watch my reaction, you'll see. I don't know, it really struck a chord with me, Not even talking about the cello, but it was great. And it was a great point to transition from the cello boxing right into the cello song. Then they had a little transition, playing Love Again, and they had the dance cam thing going on. It's like, okay, that's the thing. That was fun, I guess, and I expected this to be an intermission, but no, there was no intermission. The last Pentatonix concerts I've been to, I've always had intermissions, so I was surprised there was no break in here. But I was glad. It was cool. Then we had Cracked / Natural Disaster. This is another one of my favorites, if not my favorite moment. I thought Scott was brilliant. He was amazing with this. The riffs, spot on, vocally, magnifique. And this new effect they tried out for the first time this concert, where they had like curtains come down and they put an effect over them, so they were kind of surrounded by this effect. And in this instance, it was rain and lightning, and it was really, really, really well done. I thought it was beautiful how they put it together visually, and also an amazing sound. For some reason, songs like Cracked have never been my favorites from Pentatonix, despite being one of the more iconic originals. But I think this one, in this show in particular, like that really shined. That song, Cracked and Natural Disaster, also perfect to put together. Scott did a really good job. After this, they did Valentine with the words coming on the curtain, and I thought this was really effective, putting the words on here. But as I suspected, going into this, I was like, Valentine is a weird choice for a live show. I don't think that will go over super well with a lot of casual fans, and yeah, my family did not like that one really at all. They were not impressed by Valentine, and it's just one of those ones where it's cool. I'm glad they did a throwback to it. It's one of their early ones they've done, but maybe not the best live. I don't know. I enjoyed it, but the casual watchers won't probably enjoy it as much. Then we had the Kevin and Matt moment, which was, this stole the show, especially for my sister and my mom. They were blown away by this, and this is kind of what I expected. I expected them to really love Matt and Kevin, because they're super charismatic, really engaging with the audience, and obviously they do these classic songs that everyone knows as well, so they can get into it. And yeah, just like expected, they were really impressed by it. I'm glad they enjoyed it as much as they did. They really loved that. In fact, it was probably their favorite moment of the show from what I could tell. So yeah, that was great. Beautiful. I love that. They have a great dynamic right there. And it's a great way to put in there in the middle of the show. Next up, we have the Ariana Grande medley. And wow, this took me by surprise, because after watching it, I was like, that was good. Like I said before, Evolution Ariana Grande is not my favorite Evolution. In fact, it's probably my least favorite in terms of just overall execution, and it just sounds a little off for me. But the overall arrangement, I think, is pretty good. Yet, my family unanimously hated this live, and fair enough. I mean, it's got to mean something if all three of them, from their own individual opinions, really did not like the arrangement. They thought it was a mess. My sister was an Ariana Grande fan, maybe not as hardcore as me, but she's a fan, and she still thought it was a mess and kind of hard to follow. Alright, fair enough. I mean, that's significant. If it didn't work for three people, that's something to definitely keep an eye out for. I mean, something they can improve on for sure. Like I said, I didn't even pay any mind. Like, when I was watching it, I wasn't watching their reactions really, but I was watching it. I did not really notice it being that much of a mess. I don't know, maybe I'm blinded. I had rose-colored glasses on, but I generally don't think I do, but maybe I did. So I don't know if it's like they didn't understand the arrangement, or if it really just wasn't done well in the moment. I don't know. I'd have to ask some other people. I'd be interested to hear other opinions from the concert to see if it was similar. But yeah, that was by far their least favorite. Like, they were adamant about it. It was like, wow, I did not expect this passionate hate for the Ariana Grande medley, but okay. Love You Long Time. They actually really liked this one. I was glad to hear that. I love this song. It feels very nostalgic for me, because it's one of the early songs, that I always had in the playlist back in 2015 when I first discovered Pentatonix, and so it's very nostalgic in that way. Same with On My Way Home, which they did, and I think it worked really well live. Bohemian Rhapsody, beautiful, brilliant. I think they always kill this one live, at least the ones I've seen. I mean, it's 2 or 3 times at this point they've done Bohemian Rhapsody live, maybe even 4, I don't know. But I always remember that one being a standout, because it's really impressive. It's a long song, and the way that they're able to actually pull it off, it's impressive. And of course they enjoyed it as well. It's a very iconic song in general, so it's something they can all get on board with and enjoy. On My Way Home was great. It was cool. I was glad to see it. It kind of make a triumphant return. It hasn't been there since concerts before I even started watching Pentatonix, so this is my first time ever hearing it live in concert, and it was really cool. Then they had the encore, of course. They brought out Run to You, which I didn't even think about at the time when I saw the set list, but Run to You is going to be that stripped down a cappella song with no microphones on, just pure silence. Though I did notice like something above me in the venue, like some sort of air conditioner or something making noise in the ventilation right above me. So it was like purr, it was like a little bit of a purring noise going on the whole time through this very serious, emotional song. I think Run to You is great. It's brilliant, and I thought they did a really nice job of it live. And as expected, casual fans, and I mean casual music fans in general, aren't going to be huge into this, not going to be hyped up by it. So all my family, they said they were like, yeah, they were talented. It was really well done, but I mean, it's just not for me. Not one of my favorites. It was kind of what I expected. Just the slower paced songs in general, like that, and Valentine, and a couple others, just aren't gonna strike the same chord as some others. Though they did still really enjoy Hallelujah after that, which is slower, all things considered, but one of my brother's favorite songs in general. So he was really excited to hear it, because he didn't know the set list going into it, so he was hoping that it was going to be on there going into this concert, and he was excited that it was the very last song. They got it in there. And Hallelujah is brilliant. I think this definitely should be every concert they can fit it into. Always worth hearing, because it's so good. And Matt really shined on this one. So yeah, all right, that's it. Thank you for watching. Overall, really loved the concert. I thought it was cool. It was again one of my favorite concerts they've done. I always feel like every concert I watch is like, oh, this is the best one they've done so far. Best one they've done. They keep topping it, but I can't tell if that's just recency bias or what. Overall, I thought some of the choreography could have been better. Maybe tighten up a couple of the arrangements, make them better live. But all in all, had one of the best set lists I've ever seen. Some of my favorite songs got in here, so I was glad to see that. And top that off with like the charisma of Kevin and Matt, and allowing each member to shine a lot of different moments. It was really nicely done. And the fact that my family enjoyed it as much as they did, I was really surprised. I really was. I expected them to moderately enjoy it, but not to be blown away. But they did. And now I think my sister's a Pentatonix fan now, having not heard anything from them previously. Now she's like liking them on social media and everything. So we're in there. By the way, my sister and brother are both older than me, just for reference. So yeah, I was like, would you want to see it again? And they're like, yeah, definitely. So we might even be seeing them in their Christmas concert this year if they do one. I'm assuming they will. And definitely next year. So I'm like, okay, well, I might not even be going to a concert without them again. Who knows? We'll see how it goes. All right, that's it. I was trying to go as quick as possible. Still ended up really long. Maybe not as long as some of the other ones, though. It's probably the shortest one so far. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I love you. I love Pentatonix. Let me know if you went to the tour at all, any of the shows. If you were at the Atlantic City one and I didn't get to see you. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see anyone that I knew at this show. I knew a couple people were going to be there, but never saw them. I saw Tyree, Dreadheaded Oreo. I saw him in the distance, and I texted him. We texted each other, but we never actually got to come in contact at all. So I'm like, cool. Nothing. And it was just literally me and my family. This was our own little experience. So, yep, I'm excited. As is my new tradition, I'm basically trying to go to at least one, basically standard one per tour. And yeah, let's see how it goes.